This is the Kratom Science Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Gallagher, blog and social media writer for KratomScience.com. Your source for all things Kratom. Paul W. was prescribed hydrocodone following a car accident, the beginning of a long journey with opioid pain pills. After addiction, recovery, and relapse, Paul moved to Italy where he met his future husband. They moved to England where Paul relapsed again thanks to over-the-counter codeine. This time, Paul is using Kratom to help in his recovery. So how'd you end up in England?
It was Italy first, relationship, and then we decided to come to England because America would be a bit far, so we're between, families. He's Italian, so we're close to, not too far from Italy, and across the pond is my family. So the best of both worlds. We have nice places to go on vacation.
Yeah, Italy's
Yeah.
Italy's great.
Yeah, I'm happy, bro. I definitely would like to move back to the States, closer to family. I'm American. It's in my blood. So
how long have you been in the UK?
Yeah, I've been here for almost going on 6 years.
So you were addicted to opiates at one point.
Yeah.
Was that before you moved overseas?
Yeah, it started with in 2004. I was in Florida, and I never touched any type of pills, nothing like that. Just the thought of it, I always thought opiates would make you feel like you're, sleepy and down. So when I was in a car accident, I was prescribed Vicodin, the hydrocodone, and I didn't touch them for maybe months and months. And I figured, you know what the heck? And to be honest with you, Brian, it wasn't it was a major. It wasn't. I mean, I my pain from 1 to 10 was probably on a 5, 6, and it was more of oh, let's see what this is like. I was managing my pain with Tylenol, ibuprofen.
Yeah.
So I decided to try the hydrocodone, and well, I was pleasantly surprised that it just felt, that feeling. What you talk to a lot of. I know I listened to a lot of your episodes, and that feeling of warmth and wow. Everything's going to be all right kind of feeling. That was the first time, the first time I took that, I felt like that. I felt like Christmas. It was wow, so I was oh, this is not bad. So, one led to two, the next day. And then it was 3 months in, and I realized I was because I made a thing. I'm not really addicted unless I take it after 8 o'clock at night. And I was so it got to the point I remember I was in trouble when it was, about 3 months in, and I was waiting for it to hit 8 o'clock. I'm oh, there's something going on here. Fast forward, maybe 3 years after that. And it got to the point where, I know down in South Florida, I was living in Fort Lauderdale. And during the time that I was there, it was, I don't know if anybody's told you about the pain management clinic.
Oh yeah, I know about them. Yeah. I've read and watched the documentaries about that and stuff. It's really insane, especially in Florida, because that's kind of where it where it all came from.
So the doctor stopped filling my prescriptions, and it just got it was these pain management clinics that are everywhere, and went there, and basically they're oh, your doctor underprescribed you, try these Lorcet, and those were even better. And yeah, and then it got to the point where I had to go in and I had to get help, which, not once, but twice. It crept up. I was clean. I was clean for about a year, and then moved back up to the Northeast, and went to the doctor, and just decided, oh well, I'll see if they can prescribe them, and there we go again. Got hooked on them, and probably I went, probably another good 4 years, 4 or 5 years before I even touched another pain pill. And then I moved away, met my other half, and was doing great. When I was living in Italy, it was, didn't even think about it. It wasn't until I got over here 5 years ago that um, I thought, yeah, wow, opiates. You can buy them in like the pharmacy. You can buy them over the counter.
Yeah, that's
It's called
interesting.
Codamol. Yeah, codeine. And I was like taking them. It didn't go too crazy, but I decided, to go to my doctor, and he prescribed me Tramadol because I'm getting, I'm a bit older now, and the herniated discs that really didn't bother me, they caught up with me, and so he prescribed me Tramadol, and that was about 2 years ago. And again, from there, they prescribed me 60. 60 wasn't enough, and then I started buying them off of a friend,
Yeah.
and I can't even go into the amounts of what I was paying. It wasn't until this August, because I'm very new to Kratom, this August, that I remember sitting on the couch and, typing in how to get off Tramadol. Because I was deathly afraid, because, I went one day without them, and it was nothing like with the opiates. It just felt 100 times worse of what Vicodin or Loracet was. And just from one day, and I'm like, I can't do this. I was like, I need help. I need to do something. How can I get off? So I went on like looking on YouTube, how to taper off of Tramadol. And I happened to like sit on the couch and just type in, how to get off Tramadol. And I was reading an article someone published in Australia, and they mentioned, taper this, do this, but then add Kratom. I'm thinking, what is Kratom? So immediately I Googled Kratom, and lo and behold, it's not legal in the UK from 2016. So I'm like, oh, this is crap. What can I do? So I did a little more research, and I found out that I can get it shipped over from Amsterdam. And I didn't think this stuff was going to work. I just thought, this is, why not try it? But I'm telling you, Brian, the moment the taste was shit. The taste was just unbelievable. And I think I mixed it in with like cold water. So it was, I didn't know how to do the tea or mix it in with orange juice. But I'm telling you, like 20 minutes after I tried the Kratom, I'm just like, wait, it felt like I just felt normal. Normal, the little pain that I did have, that was gone, but
Yeah.
my mood, it just enhanced.
Hmm.
It's something that I haven't felt in years. I can't I don't know. It just felt like the serotonin in my brain was just magnified by 1,000%.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is just no. So I still wasn't convinced. And later on that day, I decided to add an extra big tablespoon. And then I got what people talk about, the wobbles. I felt like I was on this like roller coaster and spinning roller coaster. And I'm like, oh God, I did something wrong. So I did a little bit more research and realized, too much is not too good. You just need to, just take enough. And I held off there, and the next day decided to give it a go, and I got a proper scale. And from that day on, I've just yeah, I've been taking it. I haven't touched a Tramadol, haven't touched a codeine tablet, other than my antidepressant, which I think I'm going to get off of. Life's been really, really good.
Yeah.
Life's been really good.
That's great. That's great. So I'm going to go back a little bit. So what was your
Sure.
life like as an opiate addict?
You mean like when it really took hold, when I knew that shit, I was in trouble and had to go doctor
Yeah,
shop?
like what was
It
your
was
day to day like?
Oh, so it was like basically when I wake up in the morning, I would, if I had enough tablets that was going to last me a couple days, everything was good. Everything was all right as long as I had those tablets. After that, it was, okay, so I know that maybe on Friday I have to cancel this person because I need to go to that doctor. And it seemed like from the moment I wake up, when the tablets started weaning, it was planning when my next doctor appointment is, how long will they last me, where am I going to get the money from, who was I going to call to borrow the money from. Everything was consumed around Vicodin hydrocodone. It just consumed me.
Yeah. Did you, lose any work or
Oh
lose
God.
any relationships?
Relationship
Yeah.
absolutely suffered. It cost my parents, which eh, I think, I put my parents in about $160,000 debt, and that
Oh,
was
wow.
just on the first rehab. They were able to they got an inheritance from a death in the family, the same year that I went into rehab, and it was like for the first time, because I come from a working class family, it
Yeah.
was from the first time that they were to have a little bit of savings. And I'll never forget being in that rehab. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, being in that rehab, and because my insurance wasn't caught in it, and they transferred close to like 75,000 in the first 2 weeks. I know it's
Mhm.
crazy, but that's what it cost. That's what it cost.
Man, that sucks.
And my mom, and my parents, no problem. Would do anything.
Yeah.
So it consumed relationships. There was the lies, excuses, um, being sick. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
What was the
it took a
withdrawal like?
toll.
Did you get
Oh,
like violently
Jesus.
ill?
Do you know what? To be honest with you, Brad, I never let
Yeah.
it get to the point
Yeah.
where I would never let it get to the point where it was violently ill. I'm a coward like that. I wouldn't like get to the sweating. I would find it somehow. And
Yeah.
yeah, some story I would, I'll talk about it here, but like this is one of the lows. Um, this is really, I don't even know. I can't believe I'm sharing this, but just to share that story out there is I just remember my ex's good friend passed away. And that morning, when they called me and told me that so and so passed away, I knew at Walgreens that he had a prescription for, might have been Percocet, was Percocet. And I
Wow.
remember driving there, knowing that he died like 3 hours before. That my mind wasn't, oh my God, poor John is no longer with us. It was, wow, there's a prescription waiting for me at Walgreens. I
Yeah.
mean, that is just, how selfish is that? I mean, you can't get lower than that. I
Yeah.
went through the drive-through and my heart was racing, and I was, you know, it didn't really even, what the thing is, it didn't even like think, I mean, it didn't hit me until afterwards. Like, wow, how horrible. I mean, I was just thinking about if they say, oh, wow, it says on here that he's deceased, which I know they probably want to get that information. And I was elated, here's your 90, here's your 9, thank you, and I just, wow, I got away with it. It just made me a monster.
Yeah.
Made me a
Yeah.
monster.
Because
Made me a
that.
monster, like one
Yeah.
of your good friends who passed away, knowing that his medication was there, like not even a day after, but like hours.
Obviously you had to obtain it illegally. But did you ever
Yeah,
get any?
I doctor shopped. So what I
Okay.
did was, Brian, I'd have my insurance and I'd see my regular doctor, but then I would go see two more doctors. Um, I would see two more doctors and go without with having my insurance, but they caught on to that. And I was really bold. I was like, she goes, yeah, but you picked up a prescription of Lorcet like 3 days ago. And I said, well, yeah, they prescribed me. She goes, does your doctor know that so and so is prescribing you? And I thought, you know what, I'm going to challenge them. And I said, yeah. And she believed me, and I just did that. I never gave illegal names or anything, but they never, as long as I didn't want to leave any trails. So I knew that one insurance and then the two doctor shop. That's when I was in the Northeast. Down in Florida, it was all games. I could you
Yeah.
know, go right, get on, I think is Oakland Park Boulevard. And I mean, there was five within a half a mile.
Yeah. Is that the reason you moved to Florida?
No, no,
Okay.
I was, like I said,
I
I
was wondering.
never touch a tablet until that car hit me. I was at a stoplight, and
Oh.
these kids were looking at it was like a McDonald's, and these kids were looking at the menu and decided to just crash it. And it was pretty messy. I mean, I wasn't debilitated. Pain wasn't so severe, but I played it up after I found out what opiates were like.
Yeah.
I put it up. Yeah, I walked in, did the whole thing. I mean, telling you, I think I should have been on Broadway. Seriously. Just the lies. It's terrible. It's just,
Yeah.
oh God. And then I moved to the Northeast to Jersey, New York, and
Yeah.
then end up going in 2007, going back down to Florida for rehab. How ironic is that? To the place where Palm Beach, the place where I used to live, and not once but twice.
Yeah.
So we're talking.
What was that rehab like?
It was massive, and me being selfish, decided, yeah, I'll go. I want to go to a rehab, but I don't want to go to any other rehab because I don't want to go where I want to go to a place where near the beach.
Yeah.
So I, yeah, and I think this is part of my just being part of, in the midst of addiction. I want to go down to. Could I say the name
Yeah.
over here, or I don't know, the Watershed? Could I say it's the best? It's what you put into it. If you want to get clean, you can get clean.
Yeah.
But it was all about, just how many people they can bring in. It was huge. It was massive. But yeah, I stayed clean for about a year. Is it a year and a half? And then I figured out, I was driving past the doctors, and then I got involved. And from there, it was just back to the races. You start off where you left off.
But in the rehab, do they give you like Suboxone or anything like that?
Do you know what they didn't? But I did start that before I went to the second rehab. I was prescribed Suboxone.
Okay.
And that was horrible. It alleviated like what I think like would be, because I never really fully went into a withdrawal because I was the baby with it. So when I think it got to the point where the doctors were like, no more, this is it. I went to a psychiatrist and basically told him, I'm abusing tablets. And he's like, well, I'm one of the very few doctors. This was 2007 or 8. And he said, I'm one of the few doctors that's putting out this tablet called Suboxone. It's a sublingual tablet. He goes, I'll prescribe you 3 of them, 3 tablets, and that should be enough to get you off of them. Well, it wasn't. And he found me a different doctor because he didn't, the lies, because I've been seeing him for a few years and never told him anything. So he prescribed me a different doctor, and I was on those for about a year. Yeah. It numbed me. It made me, it changed my personality. People at work noticed because I was working in the mental health field, working in a hospital. And yeah, it took away my personality. I didn't like it at all.
The Suboxone.
It didn't help. Yeah.
So, okay. So you got clean for a while and then you started to buy codeine in the UK.
Yeah.
What do they sell it for? They sell it as like cough medicine?
Pardon? Yeah, that's another one. People use it recreationally over here. It's it's a very small amount, but if you chug a bottle, you'll feel it. It's the cocodamols, 12.5% codeine in them, which I was going to different, because you only can get 1 packet at a time, but it got to the point where I was 1, 2, 3, probably about, you get 28 in a box. I was taking 2 boxes a day.
Wow. So, and then you went over to Tramadol. You said you got a prescription for that?
Yeah. Okay. And that was off to the races with that as well. But I was doing both. I was taking both. And it was 50 milligrams, but I was getting 200 milligrams illegally off of a friend.
So Tramadol, what is that like specifically? Is it different from other opiates? I mean, I know it's stronger than the codeine.
It's also has an SSRI compound in them, so it's used for depression. So not only is it giving you the opioid, it's giving you the boost in serotonin. So, and when I thought, oh my God, it's one thing, it's coming off of opiates, but now I have this thing that's gonna mess with my serotonin, and I was just freaking out. That's why I was on them for so long. And it's weird because you do them so much that you don't feel like they're not like the like Percocet or Vicodin, and they're totally different. I mean, you don't even you need to take them to feel normal. You don't get any high feeling after a while. That is totally gone. But if you miss a dose, you're sweating, and you're feeling like in the pits and you're as low and you don't want to talk to anybody. It's just a horrible, horrible, horrible feeling. And not to jump ahead, Brian, but I'm thinking you're putting this Tramadol out here, and you're making Kratom illegal, something like Kratom.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, and it just doesn't. It boggles me. It really does. Nobody knows what Kratom is in the UK, Brian. Nobody.
Yeah.
I've introduced.
We're trying to work on that. So did you go to a rehab there too?
No, but it would have got to it. They don't really have many treatment facilities like they do in America. It's totally different.
Yeah.
It's totally different, and it's not much. It's more like you need to be, really, really hurting, like severely, like on death's door before you'd be accepted into a rehab, unless you need to pay, crazy amounts of money. Crazy amounts, like the rich can afford it. That's about it. It's like the rehab. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if having the National Health Service helps, or I guess not, huh?
No, absolutely not. It's drinking, especially drinking, is such a big part of everybody's life. I've never seen anything like 6 o'clock in the morning at an airport. Got the Brits having their pints. It's just so normal.
Yeah.
It's part of their culture. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock pub. And there's a lot of it. Alcoholism is rampant over here.
So you've been using Kratom how long now?
Very new. Like I said in the email, from the first week of August, and I'll never forget that Sunday the first week is when I ordered it, and it came on that Tuesday, and I've never touched Tramadol. And the transition was the first probably 3-4 days. The withdrawal, other than there wasn't like no sweating, there wasn't no sickness. I just felt probably like angry, really like just easy to like really, really heavily agitated. But that's all that I got from being off Tramadol. No sick, no cramps, no wicked nightmares, and probably agitated. But I just cannot believe that this leaf, this plant, could I was probably taking, I'm trying to think of how many Tramadol, 200, 400, 600, close to 800 to 1,000 milligrams of Tramadol a day.
Wow.
Which is a lot, and could have killed me, because I'm also on Cymbalta, which is an SSRI, and combining those two together, I'm surprised I didn't have a seizure or serotonin, or get serotonin syndrome, because I was just totally close to doing something wrong.
Yeah, those selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. That's what it is. Right?
Yeah, that's what it is. But the serotonin syndrome, I think, is with the Tramadol and the Cymbalta, something wasn't right there.
Yeah. So how much Kratom do you take on an average day?
I started taking probably more than I really should have. It was, I know I'm a bigger guy, 7 grams. Probably in the morning, 5 in the lunchtime, and I top it up with another 5. And then I got down to, right now, I like to keep between 5 and 6 milligrams 3 times a day. Yeah. And that, from what I'm reading, I think that is too much. Like today, I was on the way home from work, and I'm on the bus, and I was reading that 2.5 works even better. Works better than a 5-gram dose. Have you heard of that? Like that low of a dose?
I don't know. I take 5 grams. I was taking 7 for a while, but I found that the 5 does me just as good. Like 1 teaspoon is about 2.5 grams. Jennifer Van Blunk, who I interviewed, she was saying she was doing a lot in the beginning when she was like tapering off Suboxone, and she was doing a lot in the beginning, but then eventually she weaned down, and then now she has like a couple teaspoons every day. So eventually she lowered, because she said in the beginning it was like, you're still getting those opiate cravings, but after a month or a couple months when your body's just used to not having opiates anymore, then you can taper down off the Kratom.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So how many times a day are you taking it?
Just once. I do 2 teaspoons, and actually just about 5 days a week. I had some today, but I do 2 teaspoons and I make a tea out of it.
I mean, I've been on it since August. I think I'm going to try that. And they say like going a few days a week, it helps as well.
Yeah, there's some people that do them, like Drew Turner, who I interviewed. He does them. He every 28 days. He said he takes a 4-day break, and he's been taking the same amount for years. So he doesn't. Right. It doesn't. But then people can start, taking too much, and it just gets expensive, and it's not really helping them. Exactly. So tapering and giving it up, maybe a week out of the month or a couple days out of the month is always helpful to keep your tolerance down. We're working on a tolerance and tapering page too. Do you just do toss and wash, or do you make a tea?
That absolutely was horrible. After listening to a few people on your podcast, I thought, what the hell? Let me tell you, I was working. I'm a support worker. So I had one of the people that I support, I had them out at a restaurant, and I said, I thought, I'm going to have my afternoon dose. So I went into the bathroom of a Weatherspoon. It's like a national pub over here, pub restaurant. I went in, and let me tell you, I did it, but I must have inhaled, and it was, God.
That happened to me before.
People thought I had coronavirus for like 3 days. I was just coughing. It was coming out of my nose. It was awful. The guy I supported was like, he thought he was had to give me the Heimlich. He thought it was almost like him supporting me. It was a nightmare. I would never do that again, Brian. Yeah. No way. Nightmare.
So what do you make a tea?
What I do is, I don't know. I never tried the tea. What I do is I just get like lukewarm water, measure it up, just throw it in there, and I do like a quick with a fork, and then I just take it down that way. Yeah.
I do like 12 ounces of tea, but it doesn't really matter how much water you use as long as it gets in your system.
So do you brew it? Or do you put it in like a tea bag?
I do. We have one of those electric tea kettles. That everybody has there, I hear.
Yeah.
The reason we have one is because my wife lived in England for 6 months a couple of years ago for work.
Okay. Yeah, everybody has.
And she liked those. Yeah, so I have one of those, and then I just put the 2 teaspoons in a French press, and I just pour the tea kettle water on top of it after it's come to a boil. And you're not supposed to boil it in the water. Like, it's not supposed to be being, because the alkaloids might kill. But if you do it like a tea, and then I let it steep for I just let it steep for a half hour to make sure all the alkaloids come out. And then I mix it with honey. And if I'm not drinking it that night, I like it better cold, so I'll put it in the fridge. And I just had one today that was cold. And it just tastes. It doesn't taste that bad. It tastes like a little. The bitterness is a little bit, but it's not like eating the powders kind of. Yeah. It doesn't taste very good.
You know what, Brian? If it even tasted like shit, I'm telling you right now, the benefits outweigh the taste. I'm telling you, it's the truth. Honestly, and I give it to a few friends and like, oh, how could you drink it? I said, just wait. And I gave it to my colleague, and she's like, she's up there in age, and this is wrong with her, that's wrong with her, and we're just sitting at my table the other day, and I said, come on, give it a try, get it down, and like 45 minutes later, she's like, I don't know if it's just being with you, but I don't know what it is, because I haven't seen her in a long time. She's like, I feel amazing. I said, you have pain? She goes, I forgot, let me just check. She goes, yeah, it's gone. And she goes, my mood. I mean, that's the thing. It's the mood.
Yeah,
the mood. It's just like those. I don't know.
It gives you that coffee energy, but without like the anxious, jittery feeling.
Without that,
it's like energy, mellow jittery energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. I can't. It's amazing. I'm really, really grateful for it.
Have you had
in your podcast, Brian, because I take, sometimes I take a bike to work and I listen to your podcast, and those stories between like August, and I went through them, fairly quickly, just hearing people's stories and how much I can relate to it, that it's helped me so much. So I want to thank you for that. That's why I
Awesome.
agreed to,
I'm glad.
come
I'm glad
on,
it's helped.
honestly, those stories. And it's like, wait, that's my story. And knowing that there's other people out there, and, so thanks for that,
Yeah.
mate.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that compliment.
Mhm.
That's what I'm hoping it'll help. Because, I mean, that's why I always ask everybody their experience with being addicted. And so, have you had any side effects at all with Kratom?
Other than like the wobble, like taking too much, because I still have that, that addictive personality. More is better.
Yeah.
And I just taking, well, let's hit it up a little bit and add the extra, tablespoon in. And I got really wobbly, and I just not disassociated, but just didn't feel right at all. So I knew not to do that again. So I bought, I invested in like a better scale, a digital scale. And from there, other than that, sometimes, I mean, bowel movements, but nothing like the what the opiates caused. I mean, the constipation,
Yeah.
not to be gross or anything, but constipation. But
No, that
trying to
is
think of
one.
anything, nothing. No.
I
I mean,
really
I can't
think,
think
and
of.
I'm not sure about this, but I really think the constipation is from eating the powder. I've
Yeah,
always had it as a tea. I mean, other than a couple times, and I've never had an issue with that. So I just think it's
that
because
makes
you have that
sense.
cement brick in your stomach. It kind
Exactly,
of
exactly,
takes a while to push
exactly.
through.
And you're thinking like, if it, how it sticks to the cup when you like put it in, and that's
Yeah.
what's doing to you. You know what? I'm gonna try the tea. I'm gonna try doing like the proper, in the kettle and
Yeah, I can
the
send
French
you a link
press.
to our video. It's on
Yeah,
our
if you can
YouTube
do that,
page.
please.
Yeah, I'll do that. Um,
Cool.
yeah, yeah. So, did you just cold turkey from Tramadol and start the Kratom, or did you kind of?
So no, I
Yeah,
didn't. No, I'm one of these people that just, yeah, that Sunday I still had them, and it was, what got to the point where it was, enough is enough. I just paid so much money for for 12 Tramadol,
yeah,
and not to say, I mean, if I got caught with them, I'd be sent, I'd be sent back to America. I wouldn't have my visa, extended. I'd
yeah,
be away from the person that I love, be away from my dog, be, for a freaking pill,
yeah,
and
yeah.
just, and financially, I can't afford it, So I'm thinking, enough is enough.
So you don't see like any Kratom activism in the UK, do you?
No, nothing. Nobody. I'm telling you right now, everybody that I've talked to, they've never heard of it.
Yeah.
And
Most
I
people I
was
talk
talking to
to
my,
haven't either.
yeah, and the thing that pisses me off is I was talking to my mother about it, and my father, who has pains and this and that. And I said, listen, my mother's a cancer survivor, and she doesn't really touch pills. But I said, Mom, yeah, honestly, I mean, she has some pain, And I said, Mom, try this kratom. She goes, oh, I will, And I said, go down to the, to the tobacco shop. They sell it there. I just get her. She wrote down the name, this and that. And then she called me 2 days later. She goes, Paul, did you read? Your father was online. You should see the stuff that he found about this kratom. And I'm
Yeah.
like, Mom, it's bull crap. It's all ads. It's rehab facilities. I'm telling you right now. And they're afraid. And my neighbor, I was telling him the same thing. And because he comes up once in a while, we'll have a kratom. And he's like, we were talking about it, there's a lot of shit out there, a lot of,
Yeah.
yeah, it
They're
really makes
trying
me
to
angry.
demonize it, really. I mean, every
Yeah,
single where they say it's killed somebody is, they have also had fentanyl, or it's been
exactly.
adulterated. It's
Yeah,
really, I mean, hundreds of years in Indonesia or in Southeast Asia without one reported
exactly.
death. I mean, it's
True.
really like drug horror fiction in the
Yeah,
news that comes up, and it's really the same thing as Reefer Madness back in the 30s
exactly.
with what about cannabis? Is that legal in the UK?
Oh, it's not, no, it's not legal, but it's
Ah,
everybody. I mean, my building, yeah, everybody. I'm not a cannabis. I just don't like
yeah.
and I have nothing against it. But it's not legal, but it's tolerated.
So you've been addicted to opiates. There's an addiction specialist named Gabor Mate. I don't know if you ever heard of him,
Yeah, there's a
but
few books out.
yeah, yeah,
And then
he was
YouTube.
he was in
Yeah, okay,
Canada,
listen to him.
and he says addictions usually come from some kind of trauma that usually occurs in childhood. Was that
Yeah,
your experience?
yeah, I think 100%. Like
Yeah,
looking back, probably dealing with my sexuality, not coming to terms with it, keeping that hidden, putting on a persona for so many years, like a person that I, tried, I couldn't imagine, like I would like go to bed, like with the hopes of waking up for me to be straight. When I hear these things, it's a choice, it's a, and I know that, it's 2020, it's more, but like, that's the last thing I wanted to like, deal with and come to terms with. So I think this is probably all repressed, dealing with like repressed, self-loathing. And so I think that kind of trauma, and just resentment of myself. Definitely.
And like, what did the opiates do to that? Was it just like
comfortable? It would make me feel, I would just, okay, it those thoughts, it put those thoughts away and made me like, it made me feel like I was comfortable in my skin, but it really didn't. It was just, pushed it down farther, and until, 'cause it definitely has to come up. You have to deal with it, and I, CBT, talk therapy, is wonderful. And I'm doing that. But something that it has to come out, the farther you push it down, it's just going to be, when it does come out, that's why suicide, it's mental health. We need to, and over here, I think America is 100 times farther down the road dealing with mental health than it is down here. It's not, you don't talk about it in the UK. I mean, the thought of going to a doctor and telling them your problems over here, when I told a couple of my colleagues, they're like, really? You're not embarrassed? It just, I know William and Harry are out and about talking about it, but it really, they just don't talk about, depression or medication. And they don't, I know in America, it was just like, oh, what are you taking? Oh, I'm on Prozac. What do you want? I'm taking this and that.
Yeah, here it's like people talk about it on Facebook and stuff.
Exactly.
So how long has it been since you had Tramadol or any opiate?
It was August. Probably the first Monday in August. Yeah, the first Monday in August.
Awesome.
It was when I had the Kratom helped.
So that's about 60 days now or something.
I think it saved my life. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. You're on your way then.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue taking it, Brian.
Hell yeah.
And I'm gonna spread the word. My other half is like sick of me saying, you want to try this? You want to try it? You want to try it? Yeah. People are afraid a little bit when they do their research. I think some people are associating with this spice thing.
Exactly.
And it's nothing like that. There's nothing like it. So I can't really say do your research, but it is out there. The truth is out there. And I think, your podcast, your website, and, the people that you interview, help the word get out and help save some lives.
I hope so. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you, Paul, speaking to us from England by way of Scranton, PA. The music is Risey. The song is called Memories of Thailand. The Kratom Science Podcast is written and produced by me, Brian Gallagher, for KratomScience.com. Take care.